So I'm calling the Commission of City Plan meeting for Tuesday, March 19th, 2024 to order. And we do have a quorum. Myself, Mason, Ella is online, and we can see Jason.
Yeah, see them as a regular member, because you can have regular members, so you could see them as a regular.
Well, that's what I mean.
Okay,
He's
yeah.
an alternate being seated
Yes,
as a regular.
thank you.
And we welcome Nick Fortson here with us today. And unfortunately, he can't sit since he hasn't been sworn in, but welcome. So I could ask for a motion for approval of the February 27th, 2024 meeting.
We want to amend the agenda first,
Okay.
right? Because we'd like to add an item to the agenda further down under other business. We want to, oh, excuse me, no, we want to make it item.
Under extensions?
Yeah.
7.
Extension request, yes. Number 7, we want to add, so it says none, we want to have an extension request there for filing of Mylars. Okay.
All right, so we do have can we have a motion to amend the agenda to add an extension request?
I'd like to make a motion to request the filing of Mylars.
To amend the agenda.
Amend the agenda. Sorry.
Anybody want a second?
I'll second. This is Ella.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that's been amended.
Thank you.
All right.
That there.
And now we can move to approval of the February minutes. Somebody wants to make a motion regarding those.
This is Ella. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ella. You have a second?
This is Jason. I'll second that motion.
So we have a motion and a second. Any issues regarding the minutes? Any changes or concerns? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay, so the minutes from February have been approved. Any communications?
No new communications.
Okay. So then under new business, we have a public hearing and potential action on the following special permit application. It's special permit 24-01 78 Fanning Avenue. Special permit request to convert an existing daycare facility to a short-term rehabilitation facility for at-risk youth. The proposed renovation will accommodate an 8 to 10 bed capacity. No proposed exterior changes to the existing building or site improvements. It's the application of CHR Capital Inc., property of Waterford Country School Inc., Assessor's Map 84, Block 2, Lot 6, Zone NC. And before going any further, I want to note for the record that Kathy Rosica is here. Okay, so I guess can we have a motion to open a public hearing then?
This is Ella. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ella.
This is Jason. I'll second that motion.
So Ella makes the motion, Jason second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the public hearing is open. Do you have anything to put in now, Deanna, or just have the applicant?
Dan, do you want to take over here?
We have people from the applicant here to present if you want to do that.
So is anybody here from CHR Capital Inc.? Okay,
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
thank you.
I'm Matt Rinelli from Shipman and Goodwin, here on
If
behalf
Matt, if you could spell your name too for our clerk.
or it's RANELLI with Shipman and Goodwin in New Haven. And if it's all right with you, Mr. Chairman, we're all right here, so can we just stand and
Absolutely.
so
We're comfortable with.
all right, well, thank you for the opportunity to be before you this evening. As you know, we have a special permit application for 78 Fanning Avenue for a facility to provide services to youth who are suffering from mental illness, anxiety, depression, trauma, and or addiction. Before we jump into it, just one piece of housekeeping. Dan, I believe you have our
Yes, I have the
mailing that are in the record. And we have a few people with you here this evening that we'd like to hear from. I'll introduce them all right now, and then we'll just go right through our presentation. We have Heather Gates, the president and CEO of CHR. We also have We also have, sorry, Jennifer Nadeau, who is the Senior Vice President of Child and Family Services, and Hannah Richardson from Armenta Emma, the architect, who is our interior designer. And Michelle Gadet, the
CFO.
CFO.
And so when each one speaks, if they don't mind spelling their name again for the clerks. Okay, thank you.
And there is only interior work, so you'll hear that. That's why we have Hannah with us. So I guess what we'd like to do is Heather will take you through just a quick overview of what services CHR has provided to the community, especially a long history in Eastern Connecticut. And then Jennifer will provide you with sort of an overview of the child and family services that will be offered at this facility. And then Hannah will take you through the interior renovation of the building. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
I'm Heather Yates. My name is Heathar, and then Gates, Gates. Bill Gates, but no.
Thank you.
And stop me at any point if this is more information than you want. I just thought it might be a little bit helpful to hear something about CHR and what we do as an organization. We are a mental health and substance use, housing, and foster care provider in the in Connecticut. We serve central and eastern Connecticut, serving over 25,000 children, families, and adults every year. We have services throughout eastern Connecticut. In fact, one of our offices is right up on Main Street, 55 Main Street, where we have a number of our community-based programs doing outreach to children and families. About 6,000 of the individuals we serve reside in eastern Connecticut, including in the Norwich, New London areas. And then we have locations in Willimantic, Danielson, and Putnam, as well as Coventry. So we are, well versed in the needs in eastern Connecticut as well as central Connecticut, and again serve the full age range. We particularly specialize in clinical treatment and expertise and evidence-based practices, which will be one of the focuses of this program as we work with youth who have mental health challenges. We are also a certified community behavioral health clinic. We are Joint Commission accredited, and many of our programs are licensed by DCF and Department of Public Health. So we have a lot of scrutiny on our services all the time. Our history in Eastern Connecticut goes to 2000 when we started opening community-based programs, and we have grown from there. And in terms of our workforce, about 25% of our workforce lives in Eastern Connecticut. I'm not going to run through all the programs we have here because it's the full age range, residential, case management, crisis services, etc. This is you probably can't see this very well, but this is a map of our service area and where all of our locations are based.
Anything you present, you do need to give to us.
Okay,
for our
I'll be glad
record,
to just
so.
leave you this. Overall, we have throughout our whole service area, we have outpatient clinics, as well as about 50% of our work is outreach services to both kids, adults, and families. I just want to briefly give you some satisfaction data from our surveys that we do of families. 92% of our families reported that they were satisfied with the services they received. 96 reported that our staff treated them with respect, and 94% reported that CHR staff communicated in a way that they could understand. And what that really means is that we are very careful about hiring staff who are bilingual, who are culturally sensitive to the people we're serving, so that our families are able to work closely with us. Happy to say we're also a top workplace, and that means we have a lot of very happy employees. And that is as much as I'm going to go into about CHR. I'm happy to answer any questions. We're a large organization and have a lot of capacity, and we're really looking forward to adding this program to better meet the needs of kids in this part of the state. Jen Nadeau, our senior VP over our child and family services, will talk a little bit about the program itself. And then we can go into the plans for the building, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have about either the site or the program.
Thank you.
So it's spelling of my name, Jennifer, Jennifer, last name Nadeau, N as in Nancy, A as in dog. And like Heather mentioned, I'm the Senior Vice President of Child and Family Services at CHR. I'm going to speak a little bit to the need for this particular program, and then I'll talk actually about what the program is going to look like. And just like Heather mentioned, if anyone has any questions, I'm certainly happy to answer any of them. So, prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we heard pretty consistently statewide that youth were sitting in emergency departments. Kind of post-pandemic, although certainly we still have issues that are going on related to that. The number of youth that are going to emergency departments for services and support around mental health issues like depression, anxiety, self-injurious behaviors only continues to increase. And so the Department of Children and Families, or DCF, was tasked with finding a way to be able to address that. And what they've done is develop 2 new service types, one of which is what we are proposing to place at 78 Fanning. So it's called the Subacute Crisis Stabilization Center, or SACS for short. There are only 2 providers in the state who are offering this service. So right now, the Village in Hartford is the other provider. And then DCF actually reached out to us to ask if we would be willing to provide that service in the eastern region of the state, knowing the need of children and families, particularly out in this region. Given our experience, right, we thought that this really was a natural fit within our service array. Really we know firsthand the struggles that youth and families are dealing with. And so we really felt like it fit in with the programs that we have to offer. So this particular programming is intended to be for children who are 5 to 18 years old. And the particular setting will have capacity for up to 10 youth at any point. There will be 5 beds for children who are between the ages of 5 and 12. And then there will be 5 beds that are for youth who are over the age of 12. The facility is 24 hours, right? 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We will have staffing in place to be able to support the children in this setting, providing, really kind of consistent routine, structured daily activities, along with therapeutic services around mental health services. So that might include individual therapy, family therapy, medication management, group therapy. And really the family component is really key to this being a successful program type. The length of stay for youth is 14 days or less. So you could have a youth who's in the program for a handful of days, up to 2 weeks, really with the goal to be able to stabilize them and have them kind of reunited with their families back in communities that they reside in. This is a voluntary program, so the youth have to be willing to come to the program. The families have to be willing to participate in the services and engage in the level of treatment that we're going to be able to provide them. The program is licensed by DCF. So what that means is that there is a level of oversight and support that DCF provides. Needing to be licensed means that there are regular site visits. They come out and look at both kind of the physical site. They also meet with staff. They meet with the clients who are in the program. They are, making sure that the quality of the services that we're providing is meeting a certain standard of care. And so that's an area that we're always focused on as an organization, making sure that we're meeting the needs of the youth and the families that we're providing services to. Our professional staff, right, will be in place. We will have licensed therapists who are providing the mental health treatment to youth. There also will be nursing staff and psychiatry staff who we work with the youth. And then again, we'll have staffing 24/7. The children in the program will be supervised the entire time that they are there. There never will be a moment where there's not supervision that we're providing.
But what's the overnight staffing consist of?
Right, so the overnight staffing consists minimally of 3 staff at a point in time. But typically our standard tends to be higher than that. It also will depend on what the census of the youth in the program is at any point in time. So DCF has certain expectations around staffing ratios based on how many youth come in the program at a particular point in time.
And the overnight staff, were they licensed personnel also?
So the overnight staff are typically, we consider them residential counselors. And so they always have the support of having a supervisor, of having a clinical program director. But typically our staff who are working over the evenings aren't the therapists. The therapists are in the setting during normal daytime hours and somewhat into the evening, because when you think about the component of having to do family work, in order to get caregivers to be able to participate in those sessions, we need to be able to have some accessibility for them to be able to come during kind of the hours that we're all meeting like right now, right after school and after work.
Thank you.
Happy to answer any other questions that you might have about the service type. But I think Hannah's also going to speak to the actual setting and the renovations that we're looking to do to the interior of the building.
Thank you.
Step over here so everyone can hear me. I'm
I have a couple questions.
Please identify yourself.
My name is Douglas Church. I'm on the Zoom, but I can't dial in. So I had to dial in on my phone for the
Hang on
voice.
a second.
We're not opening it to public comment yet at this time, so he can't ask any, they're talking to the members here if they have
Okay.
questions.
You're gonna have to wait until the
Oh, okay.
public, are allowed to speak.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. It's hard to hear you and it's hard to see you, but understood. I'll wait.
Sorry.
I'm Hannah. It's Hannah. Last name is Richardson, Richardson. I'm with the architect. We have plans. I don't know if we want to
Yeah,
bring them
whatever
up
you
this
want
time.
me to bring up, I'll bring up and I'll follow along with you.
Perfect.
So,
If we want to bring those up now, that would be
sure.
great. This way everyone can kind of see what I'm talking about and easily understand what is being described. It's okay. This is basically just showing an overview of the site, 78 Canning Avenue. Like they said, pretty much no changes to the exterior. The footprint of the building and the building itself, exterior, look-wise, everything like that will stay exactly the same. We're only doing any demolition and renovation on the interior. We do intend to do a restriping of the parking lot, as it is not really, there's pretty much nothing there as is now. And renovating, if needed, the exterior ramp to be accessible for people using wheelchairs and to be ADA compliant. Yes. Other than that, everything else outside will stay the same as you see now and as it looks now. If you want to go to the next, keep going. The interior, yes. Okay.
I don't know if I have an interior, you know.
You want to drop a plan upstairs for the first one?
You keep going, that's it. I have a USB drive that has it on there.
Okay, I can take that, sure. Yeah. Thank goodness.
Oh, we got kind of a break. I just want to note for the record also that Jim Porto is now here. Welcome, Jim.
Is he here? Okay, I should have all that. I don't know what happens with the interior.
Go down a few pages. Okay. So this is our intended interior plan. Like I said, we plan to demo the entire building on the interior as it is existing. And then we would do all new. Like Jennifer was talking about, the intended use of the space, we have 10 bedrooms. We want the space to feel more residential, so we will see a few living rooms. And we will have some full bathrooms for people to use. And then we do have the staff locations, like they talked about, stations for them. And then we will be adding the therapy rooms and a kitchen space to support all the children that will be there, and a dining area as well. That's honestly pretty much it. It's pretty straightforward of taking down the interior wise what is there and then building new to support the new facility. If there's any questions, again, I can answer.
So, as Hannah said, yeah, I mean, it's all interior renovation to accommodate the number of children, maximum number that will be anticipated, and support them with the therapy rooms. The site, just to back up a little bit to get sort of back to the zoning part of this, the use that we'd like to make this rehabilitation facility is an allowed use in the NC zone under a special permit, which is why we have the application. Again, it's existing structure. There's, everything we're doing is within the footprint of the existing structure. So we think it's consistent with the zone. It is a much needed service, as you heard, and really a growing need for these services and a lack of availability. So as we indicated, children who are in need of these now tend to get stuck in emergency rooms at Backus Hospital right up the street or other places. So this provides a facility where they can get the proper care they need to address their issue. And then, as was indicated, it's a relatively short-term stay to stabilize them. And everyone, again, is there voluntarily. This is, people and families who want to get assistance with the issues that they're having. I would just repeat that CHR is a proven commodity, a long history in Eastern Connecticut, and a long history of providing these types of services. So you're getting in this, Norwich is really getting a partner who knows this industry and has a track record in this industry. But beyond that, as indicated, it's a highly regulated area. All the staff will be scrutinized by DCF. There are not only guidelines, but there are regulations that have to be followed. There is quarterly reporting and inspections and other criteria that are to have to be met and inspected by the state. So you can also be assured as a commission that this facility will operate as intended, and that the zoning oversight, which is obviously limited, you'll have oversight as to all of the other things we've told you about in terms of delivery of these health service needs. So we would ask, obviously we'll take more questions that you have. I know there'll be questions and comments from the public. We're here to answer those. So I guess that's our presentation in brief, but we hope you will look favorably on this application to use this really well-located facility for these greatly needed services.
Thank you. Does staff want to get their report on?
Sure.
I think so.
So I had a memo. A narrative was submitted, but there's 13 criteria in the special permit. I don't know if you're prepared to answer those. If you saw a copy of my memo, it was uploaded to the portal.
I don't think I have a copy of it now.
Okay.
Over here.
They're the standard special permit requirements that need to be met. Their narrative kind of answers them and what they provided tonight. but normally you receive a bulleted list of the answers to each one of the criteria. And then there was comments from MPU regarding, what they need when it's time for building, if the project is approved, and minimal comments from other departments, really. I'd also note they submitted a written waiver request for drainage calcs and a site plan because they're doing all their work inside. We're fine with that. We asked that the applicant discuss state of Connecticut recreational requirements for facilities such as this and how their proposed interior rec amenities meet those requirements. The ENS bond, that's the city engineer's comment, is acceptable for the project. And then I do have the hard copies of the mailings now. They did submit signage with the application that needs to be reviewed by the CEO. And then just in walking by the site in the past couple of days, there's a home on Zephyr Street behind it, number 9 Zephyr. And there's really no vegetated buffer between this site and that. So I would just ask that you consider as a potential approval requirement that they install some kind of vegetation along that property line. Everything else is kind of built in with green.
It's a pre-existing building. It used to be a medical practice.
Yeah.
Can you put the site plan back up
Yep.
there? Just wish to.
Yeah, I have pictures too on here if you want to see those. Are they all in your PDF? Okay. That's easier.
And Jim, while you're pulling that up, I mean, if there's a screening, we would accept as a condition of approval, either fence or vegetative screening.
So this is the site as is. This is on I believe, the Clinic Drive side, the larger parking lot. This is the proposed signage. With the zoning officer. And then directional signage. So really what I was talking about is kind of right there.
Is there, I mean, is it all paved over there or just they can fit some type of vegetation?
There's grass area, there's room now for something to be planted.
So what is happening on the outside in that area? Is it just nothing?
Nothing from what I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing in that area. I mean, obviously we may want to put a picnic table or something else, but as of now, there's nothing there, nothing that would be a structure planned or anything like that.
And since you have kids that are from 5 to 12, will there be an area outside for them to play? I mean, I don't know if you do that kind of stuff, but
Yeah, yes, they're, they have therapy and they have treatment, but they're, having that area for, sitting outside or having a picnic
yeah.
or that kind of thing, but we don't anticipate any sort of structural play area, right? If we wanted that, we'd have to come back, obviously, for something like that, but given the short term that they're there, it's not a long-term residence, and they're there for usually subacute issues.
Dan, on this plan here, can you show where that planting area would be? Right there.
Is it visible on Google Maps?
You just need to pull up the air photo, right?
This is the new computer, so
I think in there we have a lot layout plan, but not an aerial photo.
How many parking spaces are there totally? I would have to confirm the exact number, but I believe there's 48.
And do you need that many?
For the use of the building, we did look into that. We have ample parking for the use of the building, so.
Would be considered too much parking.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
We find that in general, actually, with parking regulations, and because the children are not gonna be driving themselves.
Yeah,
And the families, their parents are not staying in the program. They might come, they'll be coming to visit and do therapy, but the parking is gonna be predominantly for the staff. And 48 would be less, the number of staff who were ever there at one point in time.
That, I think that, I'm assuming that number was driven by the previous medical use.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure in Norwich, it's based on, patients per square foot in medical buildings. But, yeah, I don't think there's any realistic way we would do that for this use. But it might be still a requirement of the zoning regs, as often happens.
We can confirm that.
Yeah,
It looks like it could be 48, because that's a pretty big parking lot right up there. There's two big parking lots.
I remember going there to see a doctor back a long
I
time ago.
know, right?
And I think the staff would park in the southern area and then the visitors would come up from there.
So you wanted to show Dan again with their cursor where we're talking about,
Right
right
here.
in here is where we're talking about that.
So these are gone presently. So there's
Like
something
right
along
there.
because this house is right here.
yeah, we'd be
Oh,
amenable to
yeah.
adding whatever would be acceptable to the commission, whether it's
Fence.
vegetated or
Mhm.
actual fence,
I don't know.
given the amount of room.
Seems
there.
like a fence would be better.
Yeah. You'd have to wait for the trees to grow in and all. that.
Yeah.
Although we generally will plant pretty mature trees, and they're nicer looking over time.
Yeah.
The
But-
issue with the trees planting in that sort of small space is that they start overgrowing the property line because it's not that a lot of room there. And then what ends up happening is somebody trims it down and then you don't have any trees again. And the fence kind of does help with just,
Yeah.
people know that the property line and it's kind of left alone. If it was a larger space, I would say the trees, but it looks like those trees came down and we don't know if the owner took them down or this owner took them down. So that, again, here we're back to no trees there, so.
Probably.
I believe these are slightly growing on the homeowner's side. I think there's a low little piece of stonework that I'm assuming is the property line. So
And what's along lot 1, 2, 3? Is there a fence on that side too also, or is that vegetation?
that's vegetation. Pretty dense.
Oh, okay.
It's really, Dan's just out there, like I said, and really it's that one spot.
Yeah.
That's really the. So I don't know if are you prepared to go through those
Yeah,
criteria? Do
yeah,
you want to do that
absolutely,
now?
Sure. So the first criteria is the proposed use must be consistent with the current Norwich POCD, which this is. It's in addition to the POCD, which would embody the zoning regulations. This is an NC neighborhood commercial zone, which specifically lists this as an allowable use. The location, number 2 is the location, size of the site, and nature and intensity of the operation involved and conducted in connection with the use, and the location of the site with respect to streets giving access to it should be in harmony and appropriate with the appropriate and orderly development of the district. So I would break that into a couple of pieces. One is the structure itself is already in harmony. It's an existing structure. It complies with all the zoning requirements. The streetscape is ample. It's right off of Route 2 on Clinic, the corner of Clinic and Fanning. So it has access to an arterial road. It has 2 access points to the site for each side of the parking lot. And as we indicated, is in all likelihood overparked, if anything. So it's and you have other medical offices across Clinic Drive. You have, I think, a dentist, orthopedic surgeon, I believe, and then 2 other buildings. So it's consistent with other uses in that area, including the most adjacent uses across Clinic Drive. The design elements of the proposed development must be attractive and suitable in relation to the site characteristics, the style of other buildings in the immediate area, and the existing and probable future characteristic of the neighborhood. So again, working backwards, the character of the neighborhood is, it's already fully built, so we kind of know what the character of the neighborhood is. The building itself, again, is not changing on the outside except restriping the parking and the access ramp to comply with the ADA, which will be an improvement. The addition, which we were just discussing, that we'd be willing to accept is the addition of a fence and plantings, or one or both, will enhance and contribute to the style and overall pleasing visible appearance of the building. The location, nature, this is number 4, the location, nature, and height of the buildings, walls, fences, and the nature and extent of planned activities and landscaping on the site must be such that the use will not hinder or discourage the appropriate development or use of adjacent lands and buildings, or impair the value thereof. So again, a lot of this is already spoken for. It won't impair the appropriate development of the lands or adjacent buildings, because the neighborhood is already fully built out. And the use that we're putting in is consistent with other uses in the area, as medical office or rehabilitation with medical or healthcare delivery. And the building walls and fences and landscaping are already existing, except for the enhancements that we'd be agreeing to make, and the enhancement of restriping the parking lot to meet the ADA. The proposed use of or activity must have no adverse effect on the neighboring area resulting from the use of signs, exposed artificial lights, colored lights of any nature, flashing lights or loudspeakers or noise-making devices. We don't intend to have any loudspeakers or noise-making devices, or flashing lights or colored lights. We do have signage, which we presented and we think would be inauspicious and fit into the character of the neighborhood. It's a relatively modest sign, but needed for deliveries, for parents and families finding the location. So we think not inconsistent with signage for that kind of use. In terms of exposed artificial lighting, I don't know if there's any exterior lighting on the building as it exists. Do you know? There is? Okay. Yeah, I don't think, we don't have any plans to alter the exterior lighting, but I'm sure any lighting that would be added in the future would be zoning compliant, and we would agree as a condition to use dark sky, approved lighting if we added any additional lighting. And to inform staff before doing that. In cases where it's proposed to convert a structure designed and built originally for other uses, a structure must be acceptable for the proposed use from the viewpoint of public health and safety. We don't think we're really altering the use. We do want to rebuild the interior, but it's medical use already, and we're just medical offices are often upgraded when you have a changeover. We are obviously, it's a different medical use, but we don't think it is a change in the use of the building. But either way, it will be adequate for public health and safety, because it will have to meet highly regulated interior for a DCF licensed facility. It'll have to have all ADA compliant interiors. It will have to be inspected regularly by the state for those types of conditions. The design, I'm sorry, I'm on number 7. The design, location, and specific details of the proposed use or activity must not adversely affect the safety in the streets or unnecessarily increase traffic congestion in the area, nor interfere with the pattern of vehicular circulation in a manner that would create or worsen unsafe traffic conditions. And we anticipate minimal traffic, probably less than a typical medical practice, because the patients, although they will be there for what is a relatively short stay, they would be staying there, so we wouldn't have the constant turnover that the medical office has, so we think it'll probably be less than prior uses. The sight lines in the area are perfectly adequate. There's nothing that would create a level of service issue entering or exiting on Clinic or Fanning where the two entrances are. And then when you get out to Route 2, it's all, Route 2 is signalized up and down. So there's platooning of the traffic and plenty of access to turn left or right coming out of those secondary, movements after you've left the actual facility. Parking area must be of adequate size for the particular use and suitably screened from adjacent residential uses. The entrance and exit drives must be laid out to prevent traffic hazards or nuisances. Again, we think the parking area is probably oversized, but it's certainly adequate. There's no zoning issue with the size of it. Suitable screening, we don't disagree that it would benefit from additional screening, as the commission's already indicated. And there are no, the entrances are laid out on a very perfectly straight streets, Clinic and Fanning, so there's no nuisance or hazard generated by those existing conditions. Streets, drive, this is number 9, streets, drives, and other rights of way must be of such size, condition, and capacity in terms of capacity, width, grade, alignment, visibility to accommodate the traffic to be generated by the particular use. I think I don't need to repeat myself,
Yeah.
but again, we anticipate less traffic than under previous conditions, and the streets are adequate and straight and have high visibility. Number 10, the proposed provision of water supply, sewage disposal, and stormwater drainage must conform to the accepted engineering practices, comply with all standards of the appropriate regulatory authority, and must not unduly burden the capacity of such facilities. So it's for the stormwater part of that, it's already existing, and there is a storm sewer right off of the exit on, I believe it's Fanning, located right there, that seems to be in fine condition. There didn't appear to be anything blocking it. So there should be no issues there. The water supply and sewage disposal are public utilities, so those are all adequate for the use. And we'd meet the existing, we'd have to meet whatever, well, it's already, I take that back, they're already interconnected, so we wouldn't have to meet any interconnection requirements for that. The number 11, the proposed use or activity must provide easy accessibility for fire apparatus and police protection, and be laid out and equipped to further the provision of emergency services. As you can see with the entrances on Clinic and on Fanning, any emergency services really has 270 degrees of access to the building from a vehicle, and then the rear access at a small limited spot where it abuts the residential, can obviously be accessed with emergency personnel as they need it. But even if one street were blocked, they could come into the other street, and there's multiple places where fire apparatus, if they wanted to get that close, could get up to the sides of the building. Number 12, the appropriate consideration shall be given to the protection, preservation, and/or enhancement of natural, scenic, historic, and unique resources, including where appropriate the use of conservation restrictions to protect and permanently preserve natural, scenic, historic, or unique features which enhance the character and environment of the area. To the extent there are those features, this is already built. We're not going to be altering any of them. And then 13, adequate provision must be made for the sustained maintenance of the proposed development structures, streets, and other improvements. Again, I don't think, because we're not constructing any of these, I don't know that there's any bonding requirements under the regulation. But beyond that, I think as we testified, CHR is an entity that's been in the area for decades and operating for 30 years, and has a track record of sustained maintenance and of its facilities. Thank you.
No.
Yeah. Anything else from staff?
First condition on my memo is now met, so. Good.
Are we all set from the staff point of view then?
I think from staff.
Yeah, I have, later, I would ask you to waive the reading of the exhibit list, and I'll provide it to the clerk.
Okay. So then, given that, is there anybody who else who wants to speak in favor of this application at this time?
Want to start in the room first and then we'll go to the online?
Sure. Anybody here who wants to speak in favor of the application? Anybody in favor of the application? Okay, online, anybody online who wants to speak in favor of the application?
I was going to state their name and spell it too.
Anybody there? No.
But it was Doug Church.
So is there anybody then who wishes to speak against this application? Either here or online? Anybody who wish to speak in opposition to this application?
Can somebody hear me? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, who's talking?
Hello, can somebody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, who is this?
My name is Carla Church, and I live directly across the street from 78 Fanning Avenue, and I object that application
Okay.
very strongly. I
Okay.
have lived here for 18 years. I have seen police presence across the street at that building when supposedly nobody lived there. Okay, my property value is going down because of the moving in of, you can find another place, I know, in somebody else's backyard, I understand. But this is, nobody, no. You're gonna have, and I'm gonna correct the woman who said 5 to 12. I believe I heard earlier in this meeting, it was 5 to 18 was the age group that was moving, that would be potentially moving in and out of this facility. And I will tell you right now, as God is my witness, if you accept this, I am moving out of this town and taking my tax dollars with me, because this is an atrocity. This is ridiculous. This is wrong. I'm sorry. There's got to be another place. I'm really sorry.
All right. Are you done there, Ms. Church?
Yes, I'm done. Miss Church is done.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak in opposition to the application? Anybody else?
Yeah,
Great.
yes, this is Douglas Church. I live at, my last name is Church.
Yeah.
Church. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you state your address? I don't think the other lady made her address.
Yeah.
The other lady is Carla Church, a tax-paying citizen of Norwich, Connecticut.
All right, what's your address?
Our address is 71 Fanning Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, go on mute, Carla. Carla, go on mute so I can talk. Can you hear me? This is Doug Church.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So you can understand probably, right, our concern, right? We lived here 20 years and we received a letter in the mail that says we're going to have a rehabilitation center for at-risk youth. So there is a concern. So my wife is very emotional about it. So it is what it is. So I object to it. Is this the time I can ask further questions to CHR?
Yeah,
It's to you and then you can.
yeah, you can put the question and then we'll put the question to the applicant for you. You still there, Mr. Church?
Okay.
And
Yeah, I'm here.
too.
I'm here.
And
So
I'd
I
like
can
to
go ahead.
see that place
I
being
can-
built in front of somebody else's house.
All right, ma'am. Only one speak at a time, please.
But he interrupted me.
All right. So my question is, I have a couple questions. What is the security protocol of the facility for the individuals? Are the patients allowed to come and go as they please? Another gentleman mentioned that there's going to be a picnic table out there so people could have a picnic. And I know you have supervision with rehabilitation technicians, but just like to know the actual protocol. Are people allowed to have visitors besides their family members?
Okay, we'll put that question to the applicant. Is there somebody who wants to address that? Good.
And then Jen, if you want to add anything,
State your name again.
oh, I'm sorry, Heather Gates.
Probably not through the chairman.
Yeah, and if you can go ahead and try to answer the question if you can.
Yep, it's a voluntary program. The children who will, be there for anywhere from 1 to 14 days can leave if they want with their parents. They will be supervised at all times when they are in the program. Even if they are outside, they would be supervised by staff, or could be with their parents outside. We would expect that we have eyes on them at all times, so that they are, it's a highly supervised program. This is for children who are more likely than not depressed and anxious and maybe suicidal. So we have to be supervising them at all times.
May I ask a question? This is Mrs. Church.
Sure, go ahead.
And that is, if you're, okay, sure. If you have a full house of 10 people from the age of 5 to 18 was the number, correct? And at night you have a staff of 3. How are 3 people going to supervise 10 potentially up to 18-year-old at-risk youths? That's your security?
You want to answer the question?
The building is laid out such that, first of all, the younger children are in one part, the older children in another. And it's designed such that the staff are able to see and check the rooms at regular intervals. So the staffing ratio is such that we're able to ensure the safety of the children at all times. And then there are, if I'm not correct, alarms on the doors so that if anyone did leave, we know about it immediately.
Okay, so it's a 3 to 10
Hang on
potential
a second,
ratio
ma'am.
at any given day and time.
Ma'am, can
Yes.
you hang on a second? Somebody was trying to speak.
She stopped speaking.
No, there was somebody else over here trying to speak when you interrupted.
Just clarify that some of the bedrooms would be allocated for 5 to 12-year-olds and other beds would be allocated for over 12 and 18, up to 18. So there wouldn't be the whole facility full of 18-year-olds as was suggested.
Okay. Now, did you have a question, ma'am?
I said at night, I couldn't hear that. I said at night, or whenever you said there would be 3 people on staff. If you're at full house at 10 people, let's say they're all between the ages of 15 and 18. So you have 3 staff people who are going to control 10, 15 to 18-year-olds? If they're at risk, who knows? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Everybody
hang on
was
a
15 to
second,
18
ma'am.
at one point. I don't
Ma'am,
want it across the street from my house. I object.
we understand that, but I'm trying to answer your question as I understand it from the applicant, is that there would only be 5
Over 12.
kids over 12 at one time. There would never be more than 5 children over 12 at one time.
And the staff, Mr. Chairman, staffing letter levels and dictated.
I think this is turning, I don't know, I'll be gone because I'm selling this freaking place, taking my tax dollars that you left on paying your salary.
Do you
So,
have
and I'll be
something-
taking off
Ma'am,
and somebody
ma'am,
else
do you
can
have
deal with
something
this.
to add to the conversation?
Excuse me?
I'm asking you if you have something on point. I don't want to hear you ranting about your leaving anymore. We're trying to conduct business here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. You're putting an
Well, we
at-risk
have a
facility in front of my house.
Ma'am, we have a public meeting here. You're not the only one here. If you have
You're the
something
city
you
of
wanna
Norwich.
ask-
You get $10 from them. Of course you want it.
Ma'am, if you have something on point you want to say, I'm
That
happy
was,
to
I think
hear
that was
it.
pretty on point. I think that was on point. The city of Norwich is going to get a big bonus, and they're going to get tax dollars every month, every year, whatever they're going to pay. That's a business, a corporation, Department of Children and
You
the
have
state's going to pay
something-
you. So
Do you
there's
have
an
something to add
advantage for
about the
you,
zoning issue,
not
ma'am?
for the homeowners.
There's other people that are.
We pay your salaries.
Do you have something to add regarding the zoning matters? All right, we're gonna move on to someone else. Is there somebody else, Dan? Is there anybody else who wants to speak in connection with this application? No? All right, I think if there's no other public input, and the applicant is completed.
Before
Yes,
you,
Mr. Hang on, sir.
My name is Thomas DeSavio. I'm excited at 57th and
would you spell your last name for our the clerk?
sure. D-I-S-I-O. Excited again for the past 38 years. My concern is with the staffing issue. That's what we've been answering. It's all been on time. In some of these homes. My experience in some of these homes is very enlightening. Well run, don't see there's no outside recreation area, but it's fenced in.
That's not in these plans.
Okay.
If we ever wanted to do that, we'd be coming back with the plan and the design for that.
So, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
It used to be with the point of information that the Fanning Pond, that was the pond. Back of hospital. You're not a realtor, right?
No. All right, thank you.
Frank,
Any-
staff did have one question that didn't get answered, and I think it was in your memo, or with your licensing, and again, this is again about the outside areas. It was our understanding from, in our office from dealing with other facilities, is that it requires an outside recreation area. If that's not true, we'd like to know that, but we asked you in this memo to tell us that, because we want to know that the licensing, if it requires or not. If it's only allowed to have indoor, if you can get away with indoor, that's fine. But if it requires outdoor, is very little space that would really be that you could use, which would be ripping up some of the parking lot potentially to do that, to have a real recreation, because one person stopped in our office to talk about, they said, oh, well, they might play basketball, outside on the lawn or something. You really can't play basketball on the lawn. If you've ever played basketball, it doesn't work that way. There's not really a lawn area to do that.
Right.
So we kind of had that iffy, like, you can't have basketball on the lawn. You don't really have room to do that. But do you need to have that? And if you need to have that, we wanted to know. And so it's unfortunate that you didn't really go through the
Or
memo,
does your
you know?
interior rec area meet the requirement?
Which is what our memo was asking for tonight, to tell us, is your licensing require any outdoor? Because we really want to address that on the site plan, not later, but now. So that was the question.
Sure, so I mean, DCF licensing, and again, this is Jennifer Nadeau. The DCF licensing does require some outdoor recreational space, but that's literally what they say it requires. There's no minimum requirement around what that space looks like. And when you look at our site plan, you see that we have included a lot of indoor space for recreation, given the use of the building, right, what our intended use is for. Primarily, the recreational space will be on the interior. So there's a space for an exercise room, there's a video game room, there's a craft room, there's a sensory room. The majority of the recreation space will take place in the interior of the building.
And if I could just translate that into zoning a little bit. So I think what we're hoping is the outdoor green areas will be essentially more passive recreation, a picnic table, a place families can sit. It's sort of a healing, in good weather, gets them out there. If DCF, because the licensing comes after the zoning, if DCF says, no, you need a 4-square kick court, or you need a tetherball, then we would come back.
Okay, that's what we wanted to know, that if you were told that, you have to come back, because we're really looking at a very limited site to do this in. So if they said, hey, you do need some really active recreation outside, we're gonna be looking at removing pavement, and it's gonna be much more significant activity outside.
I think then, the intention is passive use, but if DCF says otherwise. we'll do
Okay,
that.
thank you. That's what one of the items in the memo we wanted to clarify, so.
Anything else? Okay, that's, are there things you need to put into the record at this point?
No, I'll just ask that you, after you close the public, I already mentioned about the words. List.
The
exhibit list.
Thank you.
Exhibit
The exhibit list. I'll
We're good.
provide it to the clerk.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, I think we're completed. Can we have a motion to close the public hearing?
It says Ella, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
All right, we have a motion made by Ella. We have a second. Oh, I'm sorry, hang on. Yeah, I'm sorry. Tom, you can't do it. It's got to be a member of the commission that's to make the motion. But we appreciate it.
Was it Jason?
Yes, Jason, I'd like to second that motion, please.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ella, a second by Jason, and a third by Tom. All in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the public hearing is closed.
So now saying that there are waiver requests for the site plan and the drainage calcs that we would need to act on.
Okay, before we actually act on the application itself. So I don't know if everybody caught that, but can we have a motion regarding the waivers for the site plan and for the drainage calculation?
And your reason would be there are no proposed changes to the site.
Correct.
I just have a quick question about, you had brought something up about an ENS bond. There's no need for that?
No,
It's-
that's small
It's
one.
acceptable. It's mainly for the reconstruction of the 8th ramp.
Oh, okay. All right.
So there is site
Okay.
work, but it's very minimal
All right.
related to the
All
ramp.
right.
Yeah.
All right, very good. So did somebody make a motion?
No,
for
not
the
that
waiver.
I know of, yeah.
So I'll make a motion to waive the drainage and the site plan requirements.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Give a second on that.
Oh.
Dean Mason, I'll second.
Thank you.
And the reason being is because everything is existing.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so the waivers are granted. And does somebody want to make a motion regarding the application itself?
I want to mention the wall going up next to the residential
Yeah,
fence.
Fence.
Fence, I'm sorry, fence.
And then we do have some conditions suggested here.
13 criteria in the fence.
And I don't know if you want to make a note regarding DCF licensing.
Yeah, that you may want to, in your conditions state that should outdoor recreation be required by DCF, that the commission has to approve those improvements. Needs to come back
Okay,
as a modification to the special permit.
So what were your conditions, what were your,
they're
okay,
in the
Number
memo.
10,
Number 5.
oh, okay.
and the fence.
So, anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the application, with the condition that if any, active recreation is provided, they'd have to come back based on DCF's requirements. And that a fence be provided along the Zephyr Street, property,
How high would you say? 7
6 feet,
6
yeah, 6 feet.
Yep, that's the maximum
So,
height.
And the other conditions?
And along with the conditions from, number 10.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Jason. I'd like to second that motion.
A motion by Kathy, second by Jason. Any discussion?
Or I'd like to just mention it's because, it is an existing facility and it fits in with the area. And it is mostly, medical uses over there, so I think it would be good, and I think these type of uses are needed for that youth risk, and they're only 5 young kids and 5 older kids, so I think they can continue.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Jim was not seated. He's not seated. He cannot vote
I thought he
because,
was a regular member.
no, because you already had seated, Jason on this application before he came in, and the application already started, so he's not seated on this one.
Okay. In any event, anybody opposed? No. Therefore, the motion carries, and the permit is granted with the conditions as set out. Thank you. Thank you.
I need what you had. And Frank, do you want to switch and have Jim seated now for the next application?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes. You lost your seat.
All right.
Rotated out.
You're back to the bench.
This is for you.
Okay, so the next matter of business is site development plan proposal number 1053, 102 to 110 Main Street. It's a site plan review for a proposed mixed-use building consisting of 6 apartments and existing first floor commercial tenant space. The application of Stephen Nuziopoulos, property of CPH2 LLC, assessors map 102, block 2, lot 57, zone CC. Does staff have any reports to make before the applicant speaks?
No, he can start.
Okay, so Mr. Nuziopoulos, it's on you.
Greetings, Chairman. My name is Stefan Nuziopoulos, STPHAN, Nuziopoulos, NOUSIOPOULOS. I'm the architect on the project. Mine is a little more boring than the previous one, so I apologize for that in advance. What we have here is an existing building. It was built in 1830. It's located on Main Street. 102 and 110 Main Street. For some reason, it has two addresses, and I think the reason for that is because it's divided with a massive masonry wall into two spaces. So that's the reason I think that it has two addresses, even though it's one building. When you look at the elevation, it looks like a continuous building itself. It's located in the Chelsea district, obviously. And what we're doing here is basically finishing off or introducing two more units, two more one-bedroom units on the third floor. Presently, what we have on the first floor is all commercial. Second floor, it has two units, one bedroom and one 2-bedroom. And the third floor had two 3-bedroom units. From all the market studies that my client did, and we also did some for across the street that I worked on, it doesn't show that a huge need for 3-bedroom units are called for in the downtown. More studios and 1-bedroom units. So what we like to do is convert the third floor into two 1-bedroom units rather than having a duplex from the third floor with 3-bedroom units. So we're ending up with 6 units. All the work that we're doing is all within the perimeter or interior work. The only exterior work that's being done is extending the existing stair that's on the back of the building, which is basically a second means of egress. We're extending it so we can provide egress to the 2 units that we're providing on the 4th floor. Everything else is existing. The existing elevation is not changing. It's remaining the same. We did ask for a waiver for the site plan because it's all existing. It's an existing condition. And also for the open space because we're a stone throw away from Brown Park and the marina. Other than that, it's a simple project, and if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to address them all.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Nojopoulos?
So the first floor is commercial. The second floor is
Residential,
how many? 2?
1 2-bedroom and 1 1-bedroom.
Okay, the third floor is
So
two bedroom,
1 2-bedroom and 1 bedroom again.
and then there's a 4th floor.
That would be 2 1-bedroom units.
Okay,
Which is where those dormer windows are,
That
right?
is correct, yeah.
So it's
It
gonna
used to be-
raise up in the back. You won't see it from Main Street.
oh, so you're going to put an addition on the back?
No,
No,
no
it's
addition.
already there.
Okay,
We're
Yeah.
replacing the roof, and by doing so, we're also
To here.
raising it to give slightly to give it more headroom and provide egress windows in the back also.
okay.
But it's in the back, you're never gonna see that. And the other addition is the extending the existing fire escape that's there already to provide egress to the other 2 units on the 4th floor. The top floor, the top floor, the last.
Is that their only egress on the back?
No, it has also an interior stair. We're also extending the interior stair which exits on Main Street. We're also extending that to the 4th floor for those units. That would be also the main entrance to those units. The rear egress or means of egress is shared by more than one building. They're all empty on Church Street. So some more of the buildings within that Main Street use the same means of egress to exit on Church Street.
Is this
That's
currently occupied, this building?
No, it's not. They've been working on it somehow. They did quite a bit of demolition or clearing up for some reason, but no, it's not occupied at this point. The commercial space, we're not planning to do anything yet. Once we have a tenant, we'll do it according to the tenant's needs, but it will be commercial. And we did get a variance because since we speak on the commercial, your section 6.5.5, I believe, calls that the residential square footage cannot exceed the commercial square footage. In this case, it does. So we did went to ZBA. We got a variance for it. I believe you have it in the record.
Can I ask the reason for that? You know the reason?
Well, that's because they don't want, we're gonna change that. When we do the zoning regulations, that's something we're going to be looking at. But it was really so that people don't just, take away the commercial, space downtown and just make residential, because you lose those goods and services that are needed too. So it was really like, they just didn't want everybody to kind of just keep putting housing. It hasn't been an issue because it's almost kind of the opposite. We do have some interesting commercial on the first floor, not a lot, as much as we want. But those empty spaces upstairs and many of the buildings downtown, they just have not been activated. And if you activate them, then you're automatically over the commercial, which is is an existing condition, except for now adding more units is what the problem is, in making that fourth floor, adding that square footage on that fourth floor changed it. But vacant apartments upstairs in buildings would not have to come for a variance because they're already there. But we want to look at that in the regulations when we do that.
And really it's it's going from 4 to 6 is why you're seeing it.
Yes, it's really that, because those additional up on that fourth floor is adding those 2 units.
That
the-
didn't change utility use for that building or anything, adding the 2 units, downsizing the 3 bedrooms. So,
It'll
gonna
change
change it.
loads,
Yeah.
and they're working with MPU.
Okay.
On that.
very good.
They have their own meters and everything.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned the facade that wasn't gonna change, or can you go back to just the picture of the building? I'm assuming that actually the GIS too, if we could. Let me show that again. Okay, thank you. Are you looking at like painting the brick still? Is that what you're looking at doing there? Or is it gonna be a changed facade, like putting siding on it? What are you looking at?
No, the brick will remain, whether it needs to be pointed. Matter of fact, the side of the elevation, which we can't see because of this adjacent building, there's a small space there.
Yep,
That definitely needs to be repointed in
Okay.
certain areas,
okay.
but that's only with ground. The front,
And the windows are gonna kind of stay the same for the first
everything
floor?
stays the same, correct.
Because it is on the National Register and you know that, so
That
we
is
didn't want to
correct,
see
yeah.
a lot of changes to the
I'm
facade.
not happy with the dormers, but it's something that was there, it's something we need to work with, and we can play with it now, we can change it, so.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that was done well done.
There was a drainage issue, I thought, with this building before a few years ago. There was like a water underneath this. Wasn't this one of the ones that had the water kind of issues underneath it, or is this not the building?
That I'm not aware
I
of.
think it was this, the next one up.
The next one up, okay, all right. There was a water issue, so I was just wondering if that had been addressed.
We
You would
will be
know.
used,
You would
If
know,
it was this building, you would know.
because everyone talked about it.
we feel the use is, it goes well with the Chelsea district that, the way it's being proposed, because we're gonna have more people living downtown, hopefully with disposable income, spending money, hopefully will attract more commercial development. So the use is right in,
And that leads me to a question. Do you have tenants for those lower spaces?
I wish I could tell you yes, but no,
I know.
not yet.
You know the square footage of the commercial downstairs, offhand?
I have it in the application.
I don't know what the ratio is to the tenants upstairs, I was just wondering what size something's gonna go.
So it doesn't say
There's
the
2
ratio.
spaces, isn't there 2 spaces on the first floor, or is it just one commercial space?
2 spaces.
It's 2.
One is smaller than the other. Like I said, it's divided with a massive masonry wall that goes over. to the back.
There it is, right there. So it doesn't have dimensions,
Oh,
but
the one on the right is larger. If you look at the front, it says 102 and 108, and it goes 102 to 110. I didn't know where the 110 was coming from.
Yeah, I think that's why they gave it 2 addresses. If you notice, it's 2 buildings, but when they did the facade, they made it look like 1 building.
Yeah.
That's one argument I was gonna use also. It is 2 buildings basically, because it's divided. So we're only having like 3 units per building basically, but it helps us with building code requirements actually, because of fire code now, because it's separated, but zoning doesn't see it that way, so we're here for you.
What's the square footage of the unit?
They average around, the 1 bedroom average around 600 square feet, the 2 bedroom average is like over 700 square feet.
Any other questions?
This is Ella. I have just two quick questions. So in the back, it looks like you're just going to do a full dormer for that top floor.
Yes, that is correct. The roof needs to be replaced there. It's in really bad shape, especially the structural components of the roof. So since we're replacing, we're also raising it slightly to give it better headroom in the back.
Yep, so full dormer, okay. And what's the main entrance? I mean, so for tenants, do they use that little skinny door that's on the front of the building, or do they use the rear doors? What's their main entrance to, to get to their units?
The main entrance is through Main Street. It is that skinny door. Unfortunately, we can't do anything with it and change it because of the historic value of the building itself. Even the stair itself, it is kind of skinny, and I went over that with the fire marshal. We may have to go for a modification with the state building department of that because it doesn't meet today's building code requirements as far as risers and treads. But it is a historic building, so we're trying to save as much of the existing as possible. So the entry is for all the units is from Main Street. The rear exit, it's only as an exit, as an emergency exit.
Any other questions? Good.
I'll just go through my memo real quick,
Yeah,
if you don't mind. As is customary, we shopped around. They did get a variance from the ZBA back in December. We had multiple waivers, including a site plan, open space and rec waiver, and a parking waiver. You need to act on all those three prior to approval. We've determined these requests are acceptable. Project is exempt from CAM because it's all work inside the building, the existing stairwell. We really, probably the most important thing is the trash and recycling pickup. It's becoming more and more of an issue downtown. So if you could discuss what you plan to do with those units.
Yeah, we're not trying to change any of that at this point. I believe we're working right now with the city for another project we're working on across the street.
Yeah.
So when that's finalized, hopefully we can tie everything somehow together, the whole neighborhood. But for now, we're not changing anything here, as it is.
So they'll have individual cans. And do those go onto Church Street, or where do they live?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I'm not sure where they're putting them now, but they're not gonna be on the sidewalk, if that's what you're asking. We have to find a space, either carve out some space from the existing commercial area to maintain that, or something, but they won't be on the street. Only what for pickup will come out.
I think we need to make that the condition because
Yeah.
we are having an issue, because right now, if you talk about that's say 6 apartments that you're looking at, that's 12 cans
12
outside.
fans sitting on the
It's-
sidewalk.
It is a nightmare walking on Broadway because all the people who are upstairs and vacant spaces downstairs, they're putting them out and they just stay there. So this is something that the owner has to work on. It has to come up with a solution, and the solution isn't going to be 12 cans out there. So
I agree with you. We have that issue across the state. We made that an issue from the beginning.
is this a different building that they're looking at, or?
He's talking about 7791.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, but they're not gonna wanna handle this trash at 7791.
But we're working with the city as possibly doing some kind of trash not compactor, but on Water Street where they enclose it, so they can use that for pickup and drop off. So I think maybe if they do that, they should look at the whole neighborhood and tie it all together. Instead of just.
So do we
one
want
building.
this as a temporary solution with these cans? Cause I don't know how you feel about it, but
What's the square footage of the retail space? I mean, is there an area that you can, for trash or anything like that? And do you have any storage area for the apartment? unit?
The units themselves,
Yeah.
as far as storage within themselves, the only storage they have is their closet space and stuff.
Nothing in the basement,
There's no basement.
no basement, okay.
Is there any space for garbage and recycling in the back of the building?
There is, that was one of the things that we're looking at, possibly taking them on Church Street and keeping them in the back. It is one of the things that we're looking at. It's gonna be a little difficult for the tenants, but at this point,
Yeah, you have
it's
to.
not an issue.
But can you put the air photo on?
Yeah.
So we can see what that looks like. From church.
I mean, it doesn't butt up to the Church Street, so
No.
that's the
Yeah.
issue. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
But the means of egress empties there, so they can use
But
the
is
means
there
of egress.
Is there like a sidewalk that goes up there, or is that Let's see where,
right
I
here.
wouldn't call it a
Yeah.
sidewalk, but there is a pathway that
Mhm.
more than one building empties and uses the pathway that
Yeah, but
empties.
we
on
don't-
Church
Is that
Street.
75? Is that where these guys are?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and we don't wanna have the trash on Church
Church
Street
Street
either.
No.
So I
Is
think
there-
you need to find a space inside. Where,
What I was saying is, as far as Church Street, they would go on Church Street the day of the pickup only. They take the cans out, but they keep the cans within their property in the back. of the That's the best way I think they should handle it, but, I will go over that with the owners, you know. address
well,
that.
I think that the trash situation, you have a good handle on it, sounds like, that we would, that should be a condition that the trash be located in accordance with what's acceptable to you guys.
Well, it has to be acceptable to fire marshals too,
Yeah.
because they, certain
So,
things that they won't allow
That's
them
the
to be in an
But
open
we don't
space.
want it, we don't want the trash cans on the streets.
No, they need to be moved inside, so if you have no space, they have to place in, they might make you make a trash room inside.
And
just
we
so
have
you
no
know.
problem doing that. We do have to sprinkle it. We have the trash room inside, but
Yeah.
we do have to sprinkle building there. There is a
Mhm.
sprinkle building, so.
Yeah.
That's
What-
why,
there's
What's
space.
this area out back?
that's open space. That's
Well,
looking,
That's,
that's an option.
looking down from the, stair, there's no stair there.
does that come out?
That's
to
what I
the
was
road,
saying
yeah?
before, that, you know, we can
Well,
keep
that
it in the
goes
back
to-
of the building and then take them out on, it's a height.
But during the day, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
But-
height, but,
So
something
you have
we're
to
gonna
be able
do.
to get there.
Yeah. Do they have an easement to get out in Church
Yeah.
Street?
They must have an easement because it's like, they have more than one building.
Yeah, all those
It's
buildings
using
right
that
there.
to, as a means of egress to access Church Street.
So what, again.
And that was part of my question when I was asking about, access to the units and if the backside of it is only like emergency exit. So you go out to take your trash out and then you have to walk around the block to get back into your building. I mean, how is that going to work?
No, we have rear doors that empty into that stair tower, the exterior stair tower, I should say. And, they can use the same door to come back in again.
They have a key to it.
Of course,
It's their back
yes.
door.
Yes.
Okay, so is there room in the first floor?
If
To
we
do-
have to keep it inside, we'll make room on the first floor. Like I said, if it's a trash room, it has to be sprinkled,
Right,
but I have no problem with that because it is a sprinkled building. So
right.
that's why I have no problem suggesting.
So what's the square footage of the storefronts? You don't know?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Okay. But there would be room, you think?
You don't need that much, you need what,
Mhm.
5 by 10, maybe maximum.
So, yeah.
For 12 barrels?
Yeah.
Plus, don't forget, it's also gonna be the garbage for the businesses, because if you have
Yeah,
businesses, they're gonna
that's
have their own
right.
trash too.
But
So,
they
and
can
recycling.
they share the garbage and the recycling bins, not have 12?
Well, that's where it gets. it's-
Well, it depends, and I don't know off the top of my head in terms of a multifamily building. If you hit a certain number of units, then it's a privately arranged pickup. It's not the city pickup. So it may end up being, they have garbage pickup twice a week, and that's what happens, and the people come in and get it from the trash room.
People come in,
The
the
trash
company
hauler,
comes
whoever
in,
they
okay.
contract with.
Because this is not just, this is something you wanna happen downtown, there's all these businesses, buildings, you wanna see them improved upstairs. But we cannot have this trash issue, with
No.
these trash can issues, we have got to deal with it. It doesn't work like this in other cities, and we just cannot be the one with the trash cans out everywhere.
Yeah,
So we're
okay.
starting incrementally with every development that's happening, it's like, people put the trash as the last thought they wanna
Yeah.
think about, and we're making it the first thing you think about now, so. I think it needs to be something, a condition to deal with the trash interior, it has to be an interior change to be made. Address it or something, I don't know, because if there was an outside space that we knew they could pull at those cans to the front, but there is none, there's no space.
There's no access to Main Street through the building, correct?
Not that I'm aware of, no. No. Now without changing the facade, they wouldn't want to do that.
No,
No.
we get that too,
Yeah.
it's hard, it's a really,
Every one of these is gonna require some sort of creative solution.
with compactors that bring the trash, but make it really small, and then they bring it out, one
Yeah.
one rollout, or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
like I said, the back where the deck, basically it's a deck with a stair. There's plenty of room on the deck that can also keep them on their own deck, because each unit has its own deck, basically.
But they can't,
That's how it goes.
then they have
But
to
again,
carry
they
it
have
all
to
down.
haul it back to Church Street.
Yeah.
And, not that they can't, it's just that it's, we're gonna have to enforce it, we have to
Yeah.
take top of it, because they get lazy, they don't know.
There needs to be some sort of solution, all right, the CO.
Yeah.
Who has to sign off on this?
Well, when you get a zoning compliance before a CO, we have to sign off. So this is what's happening in other properties right now is that, you know, they would like to get some COs for units, but they don't have their trash compactor and their trash issue. And that was during the presentation in front of the commission, that was brought up. They said their solution and it's not in place. And, you know, we're not gonna have units that get trash cans and that are gonna stay out there, you know?
We make it a stipulation, they have to get something approved by you and presumably fire marshal also is.
It would be,
Okay.
yeah.
Something
But-
acceptable to you.
Yeah, it has to be acceptable to the city to deal with it, you know. And it can't be a permanent exterior thing, it has to be an interior. I don't know. It's hard.
Well, it could be exterior if it was in the back.
The area
In
would
the
have
back,
to be
yeah, in the
exterior.
back, fine, but it's like, I don't know if that's really easy for people to get out from there to Church Street to bring their trash cans. you
Well,
know?
that's,
They may have.
the onus is on them.
They can do it, it's easy, but it's a whole, and I think it's
But,
gonna be.
but the point is
it's gonna
that
be
the
lazy
owner may
to
have to spend some money, like Dan said, and you're paying the hauling company to come down, grab those cans and haul it up there and bring it back. I mean, it costs more money, but you're also, you know, you're in a niche situation that you're not, you know, so, I mean, there is companies, we know, we spoke to these trash companies and they'll do it. They'll go get your trash can. It's gonna cost you more, but they'll do it, you know?
That's what they're gonna do.
Built into the rent.
Right. So I think they need to investigate that, if they're having,
Absolutely, I mean, they're aware of it, we went over that,
all right.
because we had that issue across the street, and
So there needs to be a condition regarding the trash disposal. All right, given that discussion, do we have anything else
Couple more
we need
points,
to
yep.
add?
Any proposed signage that you might have in the building would have to be, reviewed by staff and approved. The commission and other recent downtown approvals, you've required potted plants or landscaping on the sidewalk. Just want to bring it up here as a suggestion to consider that. Any proposed exterior lighting shall be period appropriate and full cutoff. And then I have conditions, suggested conditions and for approval.
Was
With-
there a bike rack on this one, Dan?
There's not, it's smaller. I don't think it's necessary at this point.
And there's no place, there's no storage place for it.
With the size of the units, you could keep your bike in your unit
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. that's-
or out on the back.
back deck.
That's okay. So the potted plants thing, that has been working a lot of times lately, we've been
Reading
looking at
views, 67791.
is like a raised rectangular, flower bed that they can put out. Because even if the stores are vacant in front of it, to have that out there looks so much better, so,
Provided they take care of it.
yeah. But if they're gonna have tenants there, as far as I'm concerned, they gotta take care of it,
Right.
you know.
Let's see the front of that building again. Sorry.
Can he move forward with this with 4 units? A lesser number of units if you wanted to? Or without?
They could
without the
do that without even
modifications?
coming here. He
Yeah,
wouldn't have had to come here if he was.
That's right, without the modifications on the top floor there. Right.
It's difficult to rent a 3-bedroom unit, in the downtown.
But you're not stopped from doing it.
No.
Doing anything, that's right.
Because he already had that work. So like right along those front, at least the one with the.
You see where the cans are right
Right
now.
Yeah, so we want to avoid that.
Yeah, no, we don't want any cans in.
No, it's not.
Well, people won't be able to get in and out, so you can't have.
But that's
it
how it is all on Broadway right now. Every single door nook has cans in it, every single one on Broadway. It's a mess.
Yeah, okay. And the flowers or the planters.
don't have to do any, but it was just a suggested because we asked in the others, and it just improved his, that there is no green space. It's a way to create some green space. It's at least to have the planting, some kind of plantings there.
Yeah.
It's a fairly wide sidewalk there.
Yeah,
too.
it is.
It can handle potted plants even, you know.
We have the flower, hanging flowers there too. All right,
The other issues from the staff.
Just the waiver for the
Yeah,
site plan. needs to
There's
be
a couple
first.
of waivers.
Can you make a planter with a, that will contain a trash barrel?
Oh, my God. And the answer is no. We don't want to be looking at that.
And patent that, you might have
Yeah,
to-
you want to come up with something attractive. Maybe that's a new idea for us to work on. We can rich on.
Might be interesting.
I don't know, we have to go with a cool name, the dumpster flower pot.
Yeah. But there are multiple waivers, the site plan, open space, and rec, and parking.
Do we have any motions?
so I will make a motion to waive the site plan, the open space. But, oh, I do have a question. Where are people gonna park?
Well, again.
I know
we have
that,
Quite a few parking garages in the nearby,
yeah,
they're aware of it. Hopefully also the, transportation center should be by now available to the public. I think after so many years, because of the federal funds, you allow to lease spaces there
yeah,
too,
that's
so.
pretty far from here though, right?
It is, but it's,
But
What-
is the parking garage?
There's spaces for rent.
Yeah,
There is
okay,
space.
so they can,
Two
okay,
buildings,
okay, yeah, so they do have available spaces
Yeah.
there.
There's a lot of parking garages in downtown Norwich.
That don't
People
have-
just don't know about them, think about them.
All right, so, okay, so waiver for site plan, open space parking, recreation,
Yeah.
and that's it
Yes.
for waivers.
Yeah.
That's my motion.
And so we have a motion to waive
All those things.
those conditions like Kathy just mentioned. Do we have a second?
This is Ella, I'll second.
Ellen will second.
All right, Ellen, we got the second. Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Moving on then, do we have a motion concerning the application itself?
Okay, I'll make that motion, to approve the application with the condition that they provide interior, trash area. That's approved by town staff or some other acceptable standard, okay? But it all has to be approved by the town staff. We don't want any trash receptacles in the doorway. All right, they provide some sort of plantings in the front. And signage, any signage would have to be approved by the plan. But lighting,
Lighting, you wanted lighting also, right?
No, it would it just has to be full cutoff. That-
Full cutoff,
it's- Yeah. They haven't proposed any
They don't
exterior
propose it, they
lighting.
don't have to do that. yet.
Just a point of clarification, Kathy, if the solution is determined to be the trash in the rear outside,
Is that
that goes up
acceptable?
to church.
I want to make sure it's not visible from Church Street either.
Either street, right?
I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
anything
a
back there is visible
grade
from
change.
Church Street if it's
Right.
on that property because it's.
I'm
uphill, basically.
just clarifying if you are specifying an interior trash room only, or if there was a
Well,
structure
if they,
outside.
if there's, I mean, it looked like there was that little space that they might be able to put trash there for the wrap. You know, I should have said that, but. Yeah, I think that would be, if it's acceptable to you, I mean, you have to visually see it. And feel that it's acceptable, and I think you have a good handle on that. Right, everybody?
You're making the motion.
I'm making that motion then.
No, second.
Did you finish? Did you have conditions
Yeah.
here?
Oh, with the conditions, listed.
Okay, so we have the motion by Kathy, with the condition regarding trash barrels not to be visible from Main Street and to be approved by the staff
Or Church Street.
or Church Street. Well, I don't know.
It wouldn't be because there's a building in front, right?
And the other conditions as set out in Dan's memo.
And the planters.
And the planters, yeah, I said that.
That's what Kathy's motion
Okay.
was.
Okay, so that's the motion. And we had a second
Yep.
by Jim. Do we have any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
Ella?
opposed?
Aye.
You got an eye there, Ella?
Yeah, for approved.
Okay, now we couldn't hear you at first. Okay, so the motion carries and the application is approved with conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Old business, I don't see any extension requests. We have one.
Yep, so the Ockham Industrial Center subdivision, they're asking for an extension to the next 90-day extension by state statute. You can ask for 2 90-day extensions to file the Mylars and legal paperwork. They're working on all that now, and they just want to be ahead of the game, and they're asking for the 90-day extension.
Okay,
And that's pretty much like cut and dry statutorily. You can get 2 more 90-day extensions. Basically a given. So they're asking for that now just to keep the clock going, so.
anybody want to make a motion? I'm not gonna vote, but
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Like I always feel like I'm making the motion.
Okay.
you're into the motion. Okay, so we have a motion to grant the extension for the 90 days on the filing of Mylar. Do we have a second?
This is Ella. I'll second.
Dean beat you that time, Ellen.
Ah.
Alright,
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Again, I'm not voting on it.
alright, okay, except for Frank. You,
I got
It's the word I want to say now.
abstain.
Abstained. Abstained.
I had recused myself from the application
Yeah, but you
itself,
abstained on the vote here.
so I'm abstaining on the vote. for the
Okay.
extension.
Alright,
Next, anything else before election of officers?
No bond reductions or requests, no. Just
All right, so, open the floor for election of officers. I think we only have 2, chairman and vice chairman. Now we're operating without a vice chair. Was less.
I'll make a motion to nominate Frank for chairman, since he done such a great job.
Oh, yeah.
And he did a great job tonight.
yeah.
Moving. Anybody want a second?
Yeah,
that?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay, so Kathy, and it was nomination for Frank, and then who's second, Ella or Jim? Who was first? Jim, okay, Jim was first, it was second, okay, for the second, all right.
All right, you're running the count.
What?
You made the motion, you can run this. I can't call it for myself.
Oh, okay. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion?
Any
Yeah.
discussion?
Did Jake?
Any other nominations?
He left for the night? You have to leave?
Seems that way.
I thought you said I was taking place.
No, just for that
For
application.
Application, I guess he didn't.
Excuse me.
Anyway, he's not here, but we still have
I
one,
didn't know if it was
two.
the men's room.
Yeah, but- yeah, but-
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So. All right.
Oh,
so-
So I say
yeah.
aye.
We all said aye,
I
right?
said I would.
Unanimous.
I nominate Dean.
The vice chair, Dean.
No.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Approved.
Any other nomination? Okay. So, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Congratulations.
All right.
Thanks.
Good.
Okay,
Anything else?
we still have more
Yes.
stuff, yes?
Who wants to be on wetlands?
We need the representation of it has to be a
regular
CC member,
And it
have to be on wetlands too. That's in the charter, it's required.
2,
It's a regular member and an
an
alternate
alternate, if the
for, an
regular member can't go.
alternate's supposed to go to wetlands, so. I know no one wants to
I
do it.
nominate Jason.
No, he's already got out.
He already
He
took
took
the cog.
the
That's why I
cog. He
nominated
took
him.
the cog.
I know.
And wetlands is short members. They really do
So
need.
can alternate members can be the member, right?
alternate members of our
It's
commission.
one regular member and one alternate
So
from the
someone,
CCP.
so one of the alternates and one of the regulars.
That's what she's asking,
Yeah.
yes.
That's the way it is. It's
Yeah.
not two. Okay,
Do we
all
want?
right.
I can't do another commission meeting.
Ella, I know she
I
said
can't
last time
either.
she can't.
I'm totally booked.
When do, they meet?
What's the first Thursday of the month? I keep it quick, I promise you. We don't always meet.
I'll step forward
Thank
and
you.
do that.
Senior, a gentleman.
Do we have to, does that have to be a nomination or?
We just wouldn't
Okay.
have, yeah.
I think
if
that's
you're-
an
volunteering,
impressing somebody
right?
into service.
I think the council's supposed to say yes to it, but like, we'll just let them know. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's what they said, but whatever. So Dean's gonna do that. Is there anyone else? Nick? you have to go? Are you?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so he'll be you're an alternate, so you can be the alternate in Woodlands.
Excellent, thank
I
you.
know,
So, and you're gonna get sworn in,
First Thursday.
Where do I go to get sworn in?
the clerk's office, the city hall.
Right, where you were before you came over here.
So then our next thing to talk about really quickly is our June meeting is on June 18th. But that night, Main Street, Connecticut Main Street is doing their award ceremonies and they are coming to Norwich and they're doing it at the Callisto Hotel. And NCDC is the host and they've asked the Dan and I to go to that. So we really don't want to miss it for the CCP meeting. So I guess the question is, do we want to set, if we don't know what we're going to have for applications at that time, but can we cancel the meeting on the 18th and do a special meeting? I know Kathy would interfere with you on the 25th, but if we have enough, we do have a full board now, so could we schedule a meeting on the 25th of June instead of the 18th, so Dan and I can be at the other event?
You want to do it sooner rather than later?
Well, the 11th is the ZBA meeting and they meet here too, so it's a conflict with the meeting now, so.
As far as I know, it's okay with me.
Does anyone have a problem with June 25th that day? Is that Kathy? I know you don't. But is there anyone else here that could we, is that okay?
So push it, I'll move to, do we need a motion? I don't think we do.
Well, you just have to give us, do you need a motion or just authorization that we're gonna cancel the
Yeah,
meeting on June
I don't-
18th, and
yeah,
we'll, if we have enough.
I can cancel the meeting, without a motion.
Yeah, and I guess what I would say is if we need
We
a
may
special
cancel it
meeting,
for no,
yeah, if
items
nothing
anyway.
comes in, we're gonna cancel it, but if we need to have a meeting, I guess the availability, you
We'll,
wanna know. if
we'll
June
look at June
25th.
25th, or we
Okay.
could always do some other day. if we
Okay,
have to.
but I just wanted to make sure that would be okay if we cancel June 18th,
Yeah,
okay,
that's fine.
thank you.
All right. Do we need to discuss anything in executive session?
No, because I haven't got any updates on anything from Mike Driscoll, no.
Can I just ask a question
I'll
about,
tell you staff report stuff.
can I ask a question about, Burger King?
Sure, nothing, we don't have any
Is
update on
that,
Burger
is
King.
that not gonna happen?
Well, the timeframe still hasn't expired, the 5 years hasn't
Yeah.
expired, it's coming up though, I
Yeah.
think maybe this, I'll have to look, maybe this summer might be 5 years, I don't have to look. But we can expire that if you want, bring it forward, we have to let them know, and you guys can say we're expiring the site
Well,
plan
what
if
are,
you want,
what's going on?
but
there?
nothing.
What are,
I think that the hearsay was that they weren't gonna do it.
Well,
and
they
then
were selling all of their
selling
properties.
their-
The person that owned it was selling all of their franchises, all of the land for working all over the country. They were selling it all. And they weren't piecemealing it. It was gonna be just going wholesale to someone. And I don't know what happened. I don't think it's changed ownership, so I don't think that's happened, but they have no,
can we
Plan.
write them a letter and ask them what? the
we have,
situation-
I've called them. I have the guy's number and they just,
And they haven't responded?
no, I spoke with them on the phone maybe a year ago now, and he's like, no, we have nothing, we're not doing anything right now, they don't have to, no progress, so. If that, but at the time, like I said, we try to keep an eye on what's in our kind of drawer, what hasn't moved forward. If it hasn't moved forward in its time frame that we can't, that we can expire it and not give it an extension. We can do that, we just have to notify them that the commission's gonna consider expiring it. And then
Yeah.
it's dead in the water,
Yeah, I mean, I hate to see it sitting there.
I
when
know.
It could be used for something else.
I know, but yeah, that's that one. Just kind of what else is going on, we wrote some grants, we're getting a small one for 62,500 to do a new, remedial action plan for Cape Heart and to do a new soil study for Cape Heart, which is like 62,500. I think they gave us, we asked for 180 and they gave us kind of a third of it.
You're not gonna be able to do it.
Well, no, the 180 included doing public outreach and some other
Oh.
things. So they just said, we're gonna give you the technical money, but not all which is funny because they usually like you to add in all that public scoping and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They kind of cut that, gave us that. And then we are up for getting a grant we asked for $4 million for the Cape Heart to do some
Brownfields around 19.
brownfields remediation.
And you got 2 million
No.
for Brown Park?
But then that's separate, the 2 million that's really not Brown Park. It's a waterfront area. It's Brown Park and the marinas. That was a larger ask though.
No, I know, it was, yeah.
It was a very large ask and they got 2 million.
2 million.
But we're waiting to see.
Kathy's going back for more money, right? Kathy?
We're still working on it, but I'm working, Kevin's working Riverfront and Dan and I are sort of you're working everything, but
We're on the other river.
Dan and I are really working on Cape Heart. That's like our big baby right now. So we are in the running for the $4 million. They sent us a letter, I had to sign it tonight with some conditions and it was from, Commissioner's office, that kind of thing. So they haven't awarded anything
Was
yet.
it from the Brownfields program? or
Yes,
Was it from
round
PTA?
19, the round 19 from that. So, so we're fingers crossed. And then if we get that, you would think you could do a lot with 4 million. That's like the first stage of it. It's very little. And then we would go for like probably 16 more million to take out the complete removal of the building, the remediation and the construction of the park, which would be about 16 million to do the rest. So it's about a $20 million project to clean that. But it's not gonna happen without municipal involvement in that and grants. What?
That seems like that's the Cape Heart building. How big is that?
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. And it's
there's
such a
been
problem.
fires there.
It's such an environmental mess. It's on the river, but it's
On an
also
island.
an island. It's such a blight on Greenville.
Yeah,
And
it
it
is.
could change the whole feeling there and do so much with cleaning that up for people, taking that, any kind of seediness away from all that. I mean, it would just be
Yeah, that would
lovely.
be great.
So we're working really, really hard on that, and I think we're getting some attention on that. And I spoke with Deep the other day, and they want to come down and look at other brownfields in the city. So we've got them kind of a little bit hooked into coming into Norwich more. And like I said, the other waterfront money, the $2 million is a combination of helping at the marina, hopefully get the tanks back up for the fuel over there, which is
Oh,
a
yeah,
huge thing, and doing something in Howard T. Brown Park, and so we'll see. There's just a lot going. Every grant opportunity that we can apply for, we've really been.
Yeah,
Going.
preliminary downtown mobility study was presented to council last night.
Yeah,
For that.
yeah. So really creative things for the two bridges and things of a realignment of how the traffic circulation could happen downtown. They presented 3 options and we've been working closely on that. We're just super, super busy on the budget season starting. I'm asking for money for our department for zoning regulations to work on that because we just did the POCD and we're hoping that we get some money. I asked for 40 grand because that's only a drop in the bucket, but Dan and I will do some of the things internally, but we can't, it's to do a comprehensive change to really reflect our POCD. We need to outsource some of that just because we just don't have time to do everything and do that. You know how hard it is.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, so our regulations say that everything 5,000 square feet and under does not have to come before the commission.
Yes, because we changed it from 10, remember?
I
it
know,
was
I
10
do.
to 5.
But you know what I would love, because I see these buildings going up all over the place. Could we get like a list every month of things that you've approved?
I can ask Rich to give us
Yeah,
something, because a
that
lot of
would
things,
be
like I
really
said, they
nice.
go zoning permits, so we don't necessarily see them, like
Yeah,
people, there was a a mom called, was it a mom, I think it called like yesterday or today, and she's like, I need to know, they said you were the person to ask, the building across from ShopRite, I got a bet going with my kid, and we wanna know, is it a Chick-fil-A? And I said, nope, it's an oil change place. Oh, all right, thanks. It was so funny. But
A
it
little
kind-
bit of disappointment.
Yeah, it was totally, but it kind of looks like a Kentucky Fried Chicken or
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A
Yeah.
or something,
but
it's
it would be
oil.
nice for us to get
Yeah.
a list, just
There's
so
a
we.
lot going on AG, like even though people complain about the car washes, I mean, both of them are modern facilities that just opened. I'm not thrilled with the look necessarily, the one on the corner, because I don't like where the vacuums are kind of right there. But like Sophie Noble looks really good. And these people are putting a lot of money into the community to do these.
And what
businesses.
about the car wash that is closed now? Anything gonna happen there?
It closed. Did it close?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not closed?
Which car wash are you
The
talking
one-
about?
The one across,
The one up
across
on
the
the hill.
street.
Up on the hill, that's been closed for
You said
years
that-
now.
I thought you
but-
said the guy that bought that one, bought that, but changed it, so it can only be, it can't be a car wash, it can be a
That's his,
restaurant or anything
that's
else.
his own,
what he
he
wants.
That's
did
what he
that for
wants,
his deed
But it's
restriction.
for
on his
sale,
own land.
it's for
Yes,
sale, right?
he bought that to knock anybody not to
Right.
compete with him, but so he put a deed restrict himself
So-
on it. That is not the city involved in that, so.
So that, there's nothing happening there
As
either.
far as I know,
Oh, that's
no,
terrible.
on that one up there.
Um,
But he supposedly wants to do other projects in the city, according to his attorney.
Yep.
He's looking at other things and, you know,
Not just car wash.
no, not just car washes.
Well,
others.
there's be the city with the cleanest
Also
car.
laundromats.
Oh, boy. So anyways, a lot of good things going on. What
Yeah.
else? Anything else you can think of? Sheriff? Oh,
That's really been it.
hmm.
That's been
Yeah.
enough.
It's been enough. We're very, very busy, so. All right, but, yes, that was our staff report. I guess that's it, just adjourn.
Good. Motion for adjournment.
Yep, I'll move to adjourn.
A motion? Second?
Second.
A motion and a second. I Dean beat you again, Ellen.
Ah.
All right, that's a non-debatable motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.